through your mind when that goal goes in a minute into the game? You realize that it's going to stand. What are you thinking in that moment? Thank you.
It was, I think my initial thought was, here we go. We got to respond. We challenged the guys to respond after a poor performance in Panama, and this was going to be another element that we needed to respond to. It was early enough in the game. If we stayed calm and stuck to the game plan, I thought we'd be okay. Briefly flashed in my mind Costa Rica just going to a really, really low block. Thankfully, they didn't do that. So, but credit to the guys for staying calm, hanging in there, and playing our game.
Next will be Brian Strauss from Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Gregg, congratulations.
Thanks, Brian.
2 complicated windows, right? Trips and travel and adversity and injuries and ups and downs, but you finished both windows with the win. I'm curious about how that sequence of results and finishing with a win, how that helps your momentum, helps morale, helps the conversation, helps you kind of stay on a certain track. What does it mean to end with 3 points in both of these months heading into November in Mexico?
I think the mentality is take every game at a time and give your best and try to win every game. And sometimes you're going to do it, sometimes you're not. What I try to avoid, especially with the team, is that putting pressure on them because of external forces. We have enough internal pressure that we want to play a certain way, we want to play well, and we want to win games. But it's all of World Cup qualifying is difficult. All of World Cup qualifying is challenging, and sometimes I feel like people forgot that, and people think it's a cakewalk. And we're going to play the youngest team in the history of U.S. soccer in a game, and we're just going to breeze through these games. It's not realistic. What I will say is that the guys fight and the guys give everything, and that's all you can ask.
We'll go to Grant Wall.
Hey, Gregg, congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Greg.
The midfield tonight was much better than it was against Panama. What specifically did you see that made a difference in the midfield being better?
Yeah, so one of the things we looked at in the Panama game was just our lack of movement in general. And, we weren't moving enough. We weren't coming to the ball enough to open spaces up. We basically organized Panama with lack of movement. We have 3 guys up top that organized their back 4. We had 2 midfielders, central midfielders or attacking midfielders that organized their whole midfield line. And then we played against a 3v2 against their 2 strikers, and we did a really poor job with the lack of movement. Our fullbacks were way too high, basically turned it into a line of 5, and it was easy to defend. So we talked about we need to have more movement, and we got it today.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Gregg, you had said Sunday night that you wanted to wait till after Wednesday to evaluate the 3 games as a whole. What would you say about them? What would you do differently looking back, and what would you do the same?
Well, I think, one of the things we're proud of as a group is that, we talk about needing a team effort, and we show it by our lineup selections. We're not afraid to play anyone in camp, to start anyone in camp. And guys know when they come in and they're called into camp that they could have an opportunity to start games. And we're going to need everyone, all 26 players in camp, to be successful. So when I look at the window, we got 1 more point than we did in the first window. We won our home games, which you need to do. And we had a disappointing result away from home against a pretty strong, Panama team at home. So all in all, we move on. We start focusing on Mexico, and we go from there.
Sam Stejskal from The Athletic.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Gregg. Congrats on the win tonight.
Thanks, Sam.
You talked a little bit about this when you were talking about the midfield, but in the first half in particular, you guys were really moving well off the ball, not just that midfield 3, but the whole team moving the ball quickly. What did you think of the attacking performance, particularly in that first half?
Well, we came into the locker room, and I said, guys, there's very little for me to say here. There's a couple adjustments we made with our pressure. There was a little bit of adjustment we made on Brian Ruiz's side, to take advantage of him, his defending. And then other than that, we looked at if they went to a low block, what we could potentially do with playing balls behind their back line. Other than that, there was very little to critique. It was an excellent half. And I said to him, listen, if we keep up like this, we're winning the game. Just to keep going. And really a good performance by the group. And happy that we got the win, and we move on.
Jeff Carlisle from ESPN.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Jeff.
You mentioned earlier how young the lineup was today, and obviously you're going against a hugely experienced team in Costa Rica. How did you feel like your team met that challenge? And even after getting the lead, how did you think your team, managed the game and saw it out?
Thank you for asking about that, Jeff. I said before, I don't think it gets talked about enough. 22 years and 200 days, basically 199 days was the average age of our starting lineup. That's basically unheard of in international football. If you go look at the Germanys, the France, the Brazils, they're basically playing 28-year-old, 29-year-old teams. So for us to be navigating through this CONCACAF qualifying, which is a monster, with this group, and the amount of poise they showed on the field today, particularly going down a goal, and then the second half being up a goal and managing the game really well. I mean, Gianluca Buzio comes on, and he looks like he's 30. He's playing like he's 30 years old. So it's real. Again, I'm proud of the effort. The guys showed a lot of poise, and they're growing. They're growing as a team.
Emily Olson from USA Today.
Hey, Greg, thanks for the time. I wanted to go back to that. You mentioned the team aspect. Would you say that the situation tonight where Tim Weah comes in, he has to fill in for Paul Arriola, gets the performance, causes that second goal, an example of what you're talking about with this team effort? And then also, what are your thoughts on the fact that he scored right as if you were about to take him off?
It doesn't always happen like that. Amazing. But no, I think, the team didn't skip a beat. We go in the locker room and say, okay, Paul's out, Tim's in. It's completely normal. That's what I'm saying, is that everyone on this team expects that they can be playing and expects that they can be starting in the game. And, Timmy in particular, we had a long meeting yesterday. We watched video together, one-on-one meeting, and we're going over some stuff. And it was great to see him actually applying that to his performance today, because he was disappointed with his performance in Panama. And he really responded with a great attitude and a good performance. So happy for him, happy that he got the goal, and happy that we didn't make that sub 2 minutes earlier.
Paul Kennedy from Soccer America.
Congratulations, Greg. I believe all 8 uncapped players who you started out the camp with ended up playing. Can you speak a little bit about Chris Richards, who was the one who started today, and the fact, like you mentioned, Busio and Hoppy both got in, so that everyone can go home feeling part of a win?
Yeah, the guys aren't here to be passengers. We make that loud and clear. And, with Chris, I said, be patient. We were debating starting him against Panama, and we thought we wanted to put him in the best possible position to succeed. We're playing in Columbus. We knew what the fans would be like. We knew what the stadium would be like. And, so we opted for him. Gianluca, really, very similar. I happened to run into his parents in the lobby of the hotel, and they're giving me grief for him not playing. I said, just be patient. He's gonna get his opportunity. And we didn't hesitate to put him in at all, no matter what the score was today, and he showed why.
Just one point of information, 25 players so far getting their World Cup qualifying debut through 6 matches, the second most in U.S. soccer history in any cycle. We'll go to Jonathan Tannewald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thanks, Michael. Great. Congratulations.
Thanks, John.
About Serginho Dest.
Yeah.
We've all seen what he contributed in the attack. There have been a lot of questions, I think, on our side of the ledger, and probably everybody's side of the ledger, about his defense in big games. And I wonder what you saw from him tonight and overall so far with this U.S. team, his defending.
Serginho's an interesting player because it's almost like the sky's the limit for him. He could be as good as he wants to be. And you saw today with his attacking play, it's unreal. With him and Eunice on the side together, and Brendan, it's very difficult to deal with for the opponent. But for Serge, it's just hanging in there mentally, really pushing himself to be the best when he's on the field. And I think these moments, again, we're forgetting how young of a player he is. A lot of times, defenders rely on experience, and he just needs to gain experience. He's doing a great job. He's played over 60 games for Barcelona already. I mean, that's it's a really impressive record, and he just needs to keep working.
Sorry, just one correction. The 25 players is third most all-time in U.S. soccer history. We'll go to Henry Bushnell from Yahoo.
Hey, Greg. Congrats on the win.
Thanks, Henry.
I don't know if you remember this, but in the minute or so before the second goal, you guys were kind of camped in their half and lost the ball a couple times, but Costa Rica just couldn't get out, and you guys won the ball back immediately. And it seemed like that was a pattern at times throughout the game. Was there anything in particular that you liked about defensive transition tonight? Or any reasons you guys were able to do that in particular?
Well, they had 10 guys really low, and they had one guy really high, and so they didn't have anyone in between that they can play to. A lot of teams, when you're playing in CONCACAF, they'll leave 3 players up or 2.5 players up, and they have an outlet pass, and they had no outlets. And we did a good job with our midfielders pinning them in. Our center backs cleaned everything up that was coming out. And it really helps you gain momentum in the game. I mean, there was a time where we'd lose the ball and get it right back, lose the ball, get it right back. So it was good. It helps you sustain attacks. And, a couple of those moments, Costa Rica's trying to transition with those players that are really low, and then it opens up space for your own offensive transition, and you can potentially score and take advantage of that.
We'll go to Kashmir Gomez from ESPN Costa Rica.
Hi, Greg. Good night. Kashmir Gomez here from ESPN in Costa Rica. I want to know your opinion about Brian Ruiz's development in the defensive area tonight. Do you take advantage for the poor level that showed Brian Ruiz in that specific region? Thank you.
It's going to be hard for me to say a bad word about Brian Ruiz. I've been a big fan of his. He's an amazing player. He's contributed a ton to the Costa Rican national team over this last decade. And you can still see he understands soccer at a really, really high level. So, it's great to see him out there on the field, and, I know he means a lot to the team.
Next will be Kevin Baxter from the LA Times.
Hey, Greg, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, Kevin.
I think this question you kind of talked around this question a little bit, but coming into this, if you'd known that you were going to give 25 players their debuts and get 11 points out of the first 6 games, and get all this experience, into your roster depth, I would imagine you'd be pretty happy. Do you feel like you ticked a lot of things off your to-do list?
Listen, the main goal of the to-do list is qualify for the World Cup, and we're not there yet. And, we can't rest until we're there. And then even when we get there, now it's about how can we perform in the World Cup. The goal is to give guys experience. We knew going into this qualifying group that a lot of guys were going to be getting their first experience in it, and it was part of the package. And for us, internally we're calm. We understand what we're doing. We understand that we need to get the guys experience, and we just go.
Michael DeCourcy from Sporting News.
Greg, obviously the goal that originated on Tim's foot meant a lot for you guys. Does it seem a bit harsh for that to be ruled an own goal, given what a rocket the shot was and obviously what the impact was?
Yeah, I don't think it's an own goal. I think we got to get that changed. It says, I'm looking at it now, and it says own goal, but I think it's Tim's goal. So we'll talk to FIFA about that, or whoever we need to talk to, and see if we can get that reversed.
Iva Sklarczak from SBI Soccer.
Great, congrats on the win.
Thanks,
I wanted to ask you about Weston and Eunice. As far as Weston goes, you give up that first minute goal, and I'm sure as a coach you're waiting to see who responds, who's the first to kind of take charge. And it seemed like Weston did that. It seemed like he really kind of, in his own way, took charge of the game. He ended up with 16 recoveries and put in so much work. What did you think about how he kind of, his role in the turnaround and in you guys taking control? And as far as Eunice goes, you pull him out at halftime against Panama. you wonder how he might respond to that. And today he has the game that he has. What did you see in him in the days between the last game and this game that convinced you that he's ready for another shot? And what did you think of what he delivered tonight?
We had a lot of conversations with Eunice from the game in Panama to now, and his performance was a surprise to everybody. And I think once we started to understand him and the reason for a poor performance, we started working on how do we turn him back around. We know his talent. I mean, the talent is off the charts. And I know it's easy to talk really highly about a guy after he plays well and you win and everyone's happy, but I'm telling you, the kid is a player. Regarding Weston, he's another one that, his physicality, his desire alone can carry him and just and push the team. He plays with a lot of momentum. He plays with a lot of energy. In transition moments, he's explosive. He sees passes. For me, he's a really a quality player. I think something missing from him today was maybe a goal, but other than that, he performed well and certainly helped the team get the victory.
We'll go to Patrick Murphy.
Greg, I know.
There he is. Hey, bud, how you doing?
Good.
Are you Were you in the stadium today?
I am. I'm upstairs. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Should have come down and do it
I know
live. I miss you, man.
I know. I'll see. I can come see you afterwards.
All right.
I know you talked before about coming back here, and I know you've been to the stadium now at least a couple times. But being here tonight, coaching on this sideline back in Columbus in this new stadium, what did that mean to you? What was the experience like?
It was special. It really was. Just the whole thing. Well, from yesterday, the training and seeing all the staff and seeing all, the people that meant a lot to me for a long time, and then being on these sidelines, even though we weren't in, I don't even know the name. Is it still Mafre Stadium? Is it? Anyone know? No, I'm saying the other one. But anyway, and then coming here, and it's beyond everyone's expectations, certainly mine, how nice this stadium is and how nice of an atmosphere is created when the fans are in there. So the locker room, the guys are just amazed by it, and it was a really special night to be home in Columbus, and thankfully we got the win, because if we didn't, it'd be tough to come back here.